Check the list of the top 15 best-selling smartphones of all time. You would notice that Nokia phones appeared there 7 times. So, and to make this even worse or crazy, there's no S series Samsung phone that makes that list apart from a button phone, a Samsung button phone, which is crazy to think about it. Alright, so what happened to Nokia? Number 1, failure to adapt to smartphone shift. If you notice, during the 2000s, there were lots of Nokia phones that were extremely, popular. And most important thing, they were also extremely cheap and and the most importantly, they were extremely durable. Alright? Nokia phones were extremely, I'm talking about the Nokia 3310, Nokia 1100. These were popular Nokia phones back in the 2000s. Alright? But everything changed when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone. Every customer wants to switch, to a touchscreen phone, and Nokia, they felt like we shouldn't work on this for now. That's what they felt like. Alright, and the crazy part was that developers all over the world always thinking of trying to move into iOS or Android due to the fact that Symbian OS was too clumsy, a lot of bugs, and it wasn't user friendly. And if developers don't see this your operating system user friendly, what will happen? They won't make apps using your operating system, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened to Nokia. Number 2, too slow with innovation. Do you know that Nokia actually had prototypes of a touchscreen phone before the iPhone? I'm talking about 2004. Unfortunately, it was unsuccessful, but Nokia felt like customers didn't really, they felt like customers would be slow to adapt to touchscreen, but they were wrong. When Steve Jobs came in 2007, that was a game changer. And before they could, launch the Windows, the Nokia Lumia back then in 2011, 2012, Samsung and Apple were already miles ahead. Like I said earlier on, Nokia phones were known to be extremely durable. So they believed, due to this durability, customers, they will retain customers. Unfortunately, customers wanted a new ecosystem, a new, experience, and unfortunately, Nokia couldn't do that for them. Number 3, the Microsoft partnership. It's no surprise that today, most people don't want to talk about this partnership. Alright, due to the fact that Microsoft actually acquired Nokia for about $5 billion in 2013. And this deal was meant to, to help not just Nokia but also Microsoft to transform them into not just a laptop or I'm talking about, but also a mobile brand as well. And at the moment, Google is doing it before Microsoft. But anyways, fortunately, things didn't go well. So what does this mean? It means that Nokia actually ditched Symbian and they were just focused on Windows. And the crazy part was that Windows, most of the time, they didn't update their softwares, not much updates, and also buggy, just like in the Symbian as well. Okay, and the crazy part was that developers, you can't have an operating system and developers don't like it. It's going to cause problems. Alright, developers were not willing to work with Windows because of the fact that there was a big market share out there. What is that? Android and iOS. Why will I, as a developer, want to go and create an app or a game on a small chunk that will not give me much money as a developer? Why would I do that? So that was the problem. Then again, Nokia was only able to retain loyal customers, but guess what? Nokia was not able to gain new customers. And as a brand, your major aim is to gain new customers every year. Unfortunately, Nokia couldn't do this. So Nokia was stuck between giants. Nokia couldn't beat Samsung and Apple, and at the same time, Nokia, despite the fact they combined with Microsoft, they still couldn't beat Samsung and Apple. Alright, and the crazy part was that 2 years later, Microsoft actually sold Nokia. Okay, but if you want me to talk about that in another video, just let me know. 4, internal conflicts. You see, there are rumors, okay, that Nokia actually had a very crazy hierarchy, alright, or bureaucracy rather, in the sense that when if something's wrong with the Nokia phones, or people who are employed to work for Nokia, all right, they were scared to tell their boss, that this thing's not doing well, or this product is not going very fine, all right. So it was more like they saw the Nokia CEO as, or allegedly as the yes man, all right. Like they were not really, able to express their mind. So in essence, the engineers, the software engineers, the hardware engineers, they all knew that the Symbian OS was buggy. They knew that the Symbian OS was not going fine. But guess what? Before Nokia CEO could realize all these things, Apple and Samsung were the miles, ahead. Alright, and that was not a problem. Okay. The another thing again too is that Nokia had the best hardware engineers in the world. But guess what? They didn't have the best, software engineers, which is actually a big, problem, because if you don't have the best software engineers, how can you make the best operating system? It's gonna be difficult. Yes, Nokia also had a very, toxic, environment. You see, there are actually rumors that most of these, Nokia employees, okay, that were mostly competing with one another. All right, and for a big company, to have employees that are competing with one another is toxic. All right, because it will not create room for innovation, but only just create room, for personal glory. All right, and to get the best compensation plans and all that, and it affected, Nokia. Like people, holding information that should have been given to the Nokia CEO, or at least the higher upper management early on, which was, terrible. 5, or lastly, the competition got ruthless. Okay, for example, Samsung was everywhere. Mid-range smartphone, premium smartphone, low budget smartphone, Samsung was there. Apple, they just focus, on premium flagship model. Apple just focused on just that alone. Meanwhile, Oppo, Xiaomi, all these brands were rising up to dominate the upper level budget friendly smartphones. Unfortunately, Nokia lost all the territories with all these brands taking over. Fortunately, that's how life is. Okay, that's how life is. But Nokia actually invested heavily in 5G technology recently, so I just hope they're making quite a lot from that. All right, so thank you for actually listening and or hear me out. I appreciate it.